Are we live? Wait. Retconning things in Star Wars? Is this what most Star Wars fans have been dreaming about for years now with the sequel trilogy, or is this just a little bit misleading to make you guys all click on this video? Just kidding, but it is true. We do have retconning in the Star Wars galaxy. What's up, guys? It's Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars. We got a lot to talk about today regarding Ahsoka. The show comes out in 22 days. Yes, that's right. 3 weeks from now, we will be having the first prediction video for the Ahsoka show, and 3 weeks from now, we'll be getting ready to have the first of many live watch parties for the Ahsoka show. Now, we got to talk about how the Ahsoka show will be retconning not only the story of Ahsoka Tano, but also the story of Emperor Palpatine. Now, we do have to talk about some other news regarding The Mandalorian Season 4, that possibly turning into a full-on movie, and of course, the involvement of Anakin Skywalker in the Ahsoka show. We got some more news on that, whether or not it's confirmed or not. We got to talk about a lot today. So how's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday evening? It's Tuesday, right? Yeah, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. We're good. We're good. We're good. I'm losing my voice a little bit today, but just bear with me. Just bear with me. Just bear with me. Just bear with me. Sulfur Squirrel, what's up? Says I'm good. Austin says I'm good. How am I? Oh, thank you for asking. I'm doing fantastic. I really lit up my day when I came onto the stream and I realized that 5 of you were already waiting for the stream to start. That's pretty awesome. So smash a like on this video. You guys are the absolute best, the greatest fandom in the world around this channel. So yeah. You guys are the best. Okay, let's get right into this article immediately. It's so cool. It's so goddamn cool, and I got to talk about this, okay? So this actually changes a lot with the story of Ahsoka, with the story of Palpatine, and it really makes us hyped for the Ahsoka show. So let's get right into this. Okay, Honey Badger, what's up? Says, doing great now that the greatest Star Wars YouTube channel is live. Thanks. 45 Shots, what's up? 45 Shots says, M.E. waited. I'm guessing that means you were here early. Made some food and ready for Ahsoka news. All right, let's get right into this then. Let's get right into this. Let's do it. Okay, wait 1 second. Boom, 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 boom. Wait, go over there. Do what I want you to do. Do what I want. There, perfect. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Don't mind me. I'm just getting angry at the robots. Okay, here we go. Here. Wait, what? Do what I want you to do. Why? Don't you just love when technology does exactly what you want it to do? Me too. Okay, here we go. Boom. There it is. There it is. Perfect. Okay. Wait, is that perfect? Are we serious right now? Is it good? Are we good? Is that good enough? Is that good enough for you guys? It's good enough for me. Okay, perfect. Let's do it. Okay. Star Wars teases Rebels retcon with major ramifications for Ahsoka and Palpatine. Now, this is very, very interesting that Palpatine is involved in these conversations around the Ahsoka show and around Star Wars Rebels, because let's be honest, Palpatine's not that involved in Star Wars Rebels. You see him like twice in the last season, and it's very, very short. But here we go. So, Star Wars has teased a new retcon for Star Wars Rebels, one that has some significant ramifications for both Ahsoka Tano and Emperor Palpatine. And right off the bat, I see Honey Badger says, oh God, no, I'm done with Palpatine. But this actually is good news for the people who are sick and tired of Palpatine, because this is more of an explanation than him coming back again. We're not going to get somehow Palpatine returned again. That's not happening. It's not happening. Okay, it's not happening. Okay, well, let me read on. Having been introduced in the animated series, The World Between Worlds. So we're going to talk a lot about The World Between Worlds today. Just a little TLDR on what The World Between Worlds is. It's a as described by Palpatine, it's a conduit between the living and the dead. Okay, it is kind of like a portal between different time periods. It's not a time travel device by any means, and Dave Filoni has said it multiple occasions, it is not a time travel device. It is a way for the living to communicate through the dead and vice versa. Now, Ezra Bridger is the only character in Star Wars canon, other than, of course, Ahsoka Tano, but she gets pulled into it. Ezra Bridger is the only Star Wars canon character to enter the World Between Worlds, as far as we know. And it's the only time we hopefully will ever see somebody other than Ahsoka in the Ahsoka show go into the World Between Worlds, because, let's be honest, it's quite frankly just too overpowered. However, I believe, and I think, and I know that that the Ahsoka show is going to explain the World Between Worlds, and it's going to give us how the World Between Worlds can't just be used as a time travel device. Okay, so we'll get into it. Yes, it's not time travel. I know. Yeah, you guys are like, no time travel, please. Yeah, Star Wars does not need time travel. Star Wars does not need a multiverse. Star Wars should stay very, very far away from all that. But let's continue. The World Between Worlds is a major nexus in the Force, offering great power in the galaxy far, far away. However, there may be an additional component to the cosmic realm that has yet to be explored on screen. So here's where things get interesting. Capable of accessing multiple points in time and space, the World Between Worlds is one of the few instances in which time travel has been explored in Star Wars. Having only been used once in the known canon thus far, a return of the powerful Force Nexus has been teased for the upcoming Ahsoka series. So yeah, we can assume that the World Between Worlds is going to be a main plot point in the Ahsoka show that comes out in 22 days. Most likely, Ahsoka's going to go into the World Between Worlds, from the leaks and rumors and speculation. They say that she's going to go back and try to change the past, i.e. go back to Mustafar and fight Anakin instead of Obi-Wan. Go back to before Thrawn and Ezra disappear and try to kill Thrawn. All these different things. But what Ahsoka's going to come to the realization is that she can't do that. That these things have to happen. They're destined to happen. And to quote Sheev himself, fulfill your destiny. Let's read on. Which is set to continue many of the hanging threads from the series finale in Star Wars Rebels. So, of course, Ahsoka is going to take off from where Rebels kind of left off. Now, Rebels is 10 years before the Ahsoka show takes place. And that's just a fact. So a lot has happened in those 10 years. It seems like the most has happened with Ahsoka and Sabine and Thrawn, because Thrawn is really getting up to some crazy stuff in the world, in the New Beyond, but we'll talk about that as well. But a lot has happened in the 10 years. Keeping that in mind, the Star Wars book, so this is what we're coming off of here. It's a Star Wars canon book, but it's called The Star Wars Book by Cole Horton, Dan Zur, and Pablo Hidalgo. Give me some boos in the chat. We don't like Pablo around the Star Wars fandom. He's just not a nice guy. He likes to crap on the Star Wars fans for being wrong. Like, I don't know. Star Wars Democracy says, what source is this from? By the way, Star Wars Politics. Politics, you changed your name? What happened? What happened? I'm pretty sure this is from Screen Rant. Yeah, Screen Rant. Screen Rant. Here we go. Yeah, boo Pablo Hidalgo. Thank you. So, this book offers some key insights that seemingly change the very nature of the World Between Worlds and the power, its power, what its power can fully do. Jesus. Okay. So this is a canon Star Wars book. A lot like what do I got behind me? A lot like this is canon. Like this is Secrets of the Sith. I got Secrets of the Jedi. Some of the, like these novels that are, or not novels, but like these picture books almost that describe certain things like the World Between Worlds, or describe certain artifacts from movies like The Rise of Skywalker. Or like there's different things that Star Wars releases that have canon information in them. And sometimes that information in these books kind of alters a lot of canon Star Wars. So here's what this book has to say about it. The guy, what's up, the guy said, what's that smell? What's that smell? I don't smell it. Okay, here we go. The World Between Worlds explained. All right, perfect. Transcending both time and space, the World Between Worlds is a Vergence in the Force, in which moments in the past, present, and future can be accessed via a collection of portals and pathways appearing within a vast sea of stars. So that's your baseline definition of the world between worlds. And it's kind of crazy because that sounds amazing. It's a pretty much portal between the past, present, and the future. And immediately, this picture right here has Ezra in the world between worlds, and immediately when he gets into the world between worlds, you hear Obi-Wan, you hear Anakin, you hear Kylo Ren, you hear Rey. Like, you hear a bunch of these different people. What if I fall off the bridge? Oh, you mean what if like Ezra just jumped off the side of this bridge here? I don't know. I don't know. It's a great question. That's a great question. I don't know. Maybe you just fall onto another one of these paths that are going a different direction eventually. I don't know. Maybe you are just the Nexus being, Sulfur Squirrel. Maybe that's what happens. Okay, moving on. The world between worlds has also theorized to exist by the earliest Jedi, with diagrams and theorems, having been written down in the sacred texts. These writings can be seen in detail in the Star Wars 100 Objects books, as well as the visual dictionary for The Rise of Skywalker. Just so happens I have the visual dictionary for The Rise of Skywalker right here. I know, fascinating, right? And I'm pretty sure it's page 40 because I did my work before the stream. I do work before the stream. I don't just come out here and jibber jabber. Boom, there it is. So this whole page, you don't really have to see it, but it talks about the sacred text. And there's images of the inside of the sacred text in there, and there's some images that show the world between worlds. And it's theorized to be existed by the earliest Jedi because it's in the sacred text, which is created by the earliest Jedi. So, as seen in Star Wars Rebels Season 4, Ezra Bridger accessed the world between worlds using a Jedi temple on Lothal via a mural depicting the Force beings known as the Ones, who lived in the Force realm known as Mortis. So everybody loves the Mortis arc in the Clone Wars. I mean, it's usually people's favorite arc. What's your favorite arc in the Clone Wars? Tell me in the chat, by the way. While I take a nice long sip of water because I'm losing my voice. Okay. Star Wars Democracy. I keep wanting to call you politics. Do you think the world between worlds is Mortis? No. No, I don't think so. I think Mortis is a place like the world between worlds that exists outside of space and time, but I don't think it's the same thing. You know? The guy says the Siege of Mandalore is his favorite arc. That's a great one. Probably my second or first. It's probably tied for first. Sulfur Squirrel says the Umbara arc because you're just a hater. Freaking Pong. What's his name? Pong something? Yeah, we hate him. Geonosis arc. That one's actually underrated. I like that arc. Do you think they are connected? Do I think the world between worlds and the Mortis world are connected? I think maybe just via the Force, but I think they're two like separate things that exist again outside of space and time. I don't really think that they're like connected in any way, like you could get from one to the other easily. But they're definitely connected via the Force, of course, because I don't know. Because why the Mortis gods? Because why the Mortis god connection? Well, yeah. So the mural obviously has the Mortis gods. Maybe it's just because it's the Force, and the Force has the same beings: the Father, the Daughter, and the Son, which are the dark, the light, and the balance between. And then you have the world between worlds, which is the balance between the cosmic force and reality. Something along those lines. I don't know. It is a tough connection, but you know. Honey Badger says, I'd say the Siege of Mandalore as well. Yeah, true. The guy says, me and you are connected through the Force, bro. Yeah, true. But they say they are the ones that guard the power. Well, maybe they're guarding the world between worlds. I don't know. That's very interesting. Politics. I'm calling you politics. I'm sorry. I like the new name. I really, really do. I love the new name. But I'm still going to call you politics. It's a lot easier for me. Okay. Yeah. Anakin, Leia, and Kylo, I think, could be the father, daughter, and son. But what's Luke doing? Interesting. Badger, I don't know. What if the Father placed the Son in Mortis to guard him from the world between worlds? I don't know, because all three of them exist in Mortis. It's difficult because Mortis was obviously created long before the world between worlds was, but yeah, I don't know. Sulfur Squirrel says, well, Ahsoka has been, like, healed by the daughter or something. Yeah, that's true. Well, she is kind of like the living embodiment of the daughter now because the daughter died. Yeah, all right, we're getting... Austin says, what about the Son could really be the... What about the Son could really be the source of the dark side? Well, I think he's like the living embodiment of the dark side. I don't think he is the dark side. You know? Because that's why the Father kept them on Mortis. That's true. The Father did, like, keep them there, and the Son was trying to leave Mortis. Interesting. Maybe Mortis is like more of a prison. Huh. And maybe like the Father, the daughter, and the Son were at one point living amongst the galaxy. Something along those lines. That would be fascinating. Fascinating, but we're getting way too off topic. So let's keep reading. Reaching through the portal and saving Ahsoka. Oh, wait. Jeez, I just skipped way too far down. Mortis. Boom. Hearing voices from across the Star Wars canon, Ezra was drawn to a particular moment in his past, where Ahsoka dueled Darth Vader on the Sith world Malachor 5. Reaching through the portal and saving Ahsoka, both Tano and Bridger were able to close off the Force Nexus after Emperor Palpatine himself tried using them to access the Virgins. So that was a big thing. Emperor Palpatine was trying to get into the world between worlds, and if he was successful, I mean, the amount of power he just has instantaneously from being able to enter the world between worlds, Ezra Bridger didn't know what it was. He only got this instinct to go to that portal to save Ahsoka, and then boom, done. He didn't know what to do, and the portal eventually gets destroyed. But Palpatine knew about the world between worlds and was trying to get into the world between worlds and was pretty damn close. And if he did, that's pretty much endless power. So, Palpatine gaining the power of time travel as a Dark Lord of the Sith would be a dark prospect considering all that he could accomplish. However, the destroyed gateway to the powerful nexus on Lothal might not have been the only access point to the world between worlds. It stands to reason that there have been other hidden across the galaxy to be found in future Star Wars projects, i.e. Ahsoka. So let's pause right there real quick. Let's pause it right there. Okay. What do we think so far? That is the description of the world between worlds. That is Palpatine trying to get into the world between worlds. It would be an insane amount of power if he did. That is where we're at. We don't know the connection between the Mortis gods and the world between worlds. There definitely is a connection via the Force and all that other stuff. But what do we think? Star Wars Politics says, what is the title of this article? I missed it. So the title of this article is... from Screen Rant. It's Star Wars teases Rebels retcon with major ramifications for Ahsoka and Palpatine. Yeah. Okay. So the guy says there's father and son and daughter. Where is yo mama? Interesting. Very astute observation. I don't know. Sulfur Squirrel says the mother is the super evil or something. Yeah, no. So you're kind of talking more about what's her name? What the hell's her name? Somebody help me out. What's the mother's name? It's that weird thing with the weird lady with the giant mouth. You guys know who I'm talking about, right? What do you think? The guy says Palpy could have returned again, somehow, forever, if he's got the power. Yeah, he would be able to if he did tap into the world between worlds, but he didn't. You know? Anthony says, with that in mind, I wonder what the Mortis gods think/thought of the path of the open hand, the nameless, and the Drengir. All three are pre-versions of the existence of the Force in some way. Are they really? I know those all are High Republic people or High Republic things, groups of Force users, whatever it is. They existed before the Force. My High Republic knowledge is not up to date, Anthony, so I apologize. The guy says, I hope it looks Gucci with the Disney TV CGI. Yeah, that's a big thing too. Is a lot of people are getting upset about the Marvel Disney Plus shows because of the CGI and how they don't like the quality of the CGI and what's going on there. However, I think Star Wars has always been at a higher quality, especially when you look at the show like Mando or even Andor. It's at a way higher quality, I think, personally, than the Marvel shows, which is kind of sad for Marvel shows, but the CGI is usually there when it comes to Star Wars, and I think if Dave Filoni's in charge too, I think Ahsoka is going to be unbelievable. Abeloth, yeah, thank you guys. You guys knew what I was talking about. Star Wars Politics says, and have we dove into the retcon yet? No, so we're about to get into that in this next section here. The guy says, Oscar Isaac looks depressed when he says somehow Palpatine returned. Yeah, that's probably because he was. He's probably like, who the hell wrote this script and when did they get fired? Yeah, that was, yeah, exactly. Austin Snow says, Abeloth was banished. That's true. Yeah, I don't know. Is Abeloth even considered canon at this time? Like, is she actually canon character? I don't think she's ever brought up in canon. I think she's still a Legends character. Politics says, can you imagine if Ahsoka was a movie? Well, here's the thing. I think Ahsoka is kind of going to be like a prelude to Dave Filoni's movie. And it's going to be the thing that really just leads right into the movie, especially with Thrawn and his army and all this. He's the big bad. He will be the big bad in the movie. And all this Ahsoka stuff is just setting up that movie. Now, I could agree with you that it would be very, very cool as a movie, but you have to remember, a movie's just 2 to 3 hours. If the Ahsoka show is 6 episodes, all about 50 minutes, you're talking about 5 to 6 hours. And that is a lot more content, and that, for me, at least personally, is a lot more exciting. Now, I do still want Star Wars movies. Star Wars movies are the best. Going to see Star Wars in the theaters, I mean, come on. But I think Ahsoka should be on Disney Plus. I do. The guy says, if the CGI is bad, it'd be hilarious, though. Yeah, but it would be sad. But no thanks. Austin says they're making a Mandalorian movie. We'll talk about that after we get into this retcon news. But yeah, that does seem like it's on the table. Does seem like it's on the table. Honey Badger says, agreed. Star Wars honestly is best at visual shows and movies alike. They beat out Marvel and DC in my opinion. Yeah, Star Wars is always at the top of the game when it comes to CGI, when it comes to... Well, it all gears back to George Lucas. He's the guy who innovated the industry multiple times over again. With the first trilogy, he made new cameras to film stuff. He literally just made the industry so much better. Then the next trilogy, he's using CGI before anybody else really was. He had a whole-on CGI character. Like, he's way ahead of his time at all times. But even Lucasfilm now is innovating. The volume with The Mandalorian. Dave Filoni is coming to live action and doing all these different things. Whoa, what the hell? They're always kind of on the front end of innovation in movies and in television. So yeah. The guy says, Filoni is best when he works with TV. So I think the series is perfect. Yeah, I think Dave Filoni is perfect when it comes to television. He's really good at being able to create a series of episodes that make sense, that go with each other and stuff like that. But he hasn't really had the ability to create a movie. Now, he created the Clone Wars movie, but let's be honest, what the hell was that? So I think getting to see his Heir to the Empire movie is going to be way more entertaining and way cooler. Yeah. All right, let's keep reading. Let's get into this retcon because this is actually kind of insane. Okay, here we go. A subtle Star Wars retcon suggests the world between worlds is a netherworld. Now, this is interesting. With Star Wars Rebels having concluded in 2018, the Star Wars book, again, this is the book we're going from, published in 2020, offers a subtle retcon for the world between worlds. In the book, the Vergence is called a netherworld between worlds, adding the nether at the beginning of the first world. When referencing the Imperial agents who evacuated the Lothal Temple on Palpatine's orders, As such, there are some key implications considering the word netherworld and its use elsewhere in Star Wars canon. So this netherworld between worlds is the Imperial people who left the Lothal Temple, who evacuated before it was destroyed. That's what they refer to the world between worlds as. So, let's keep going. The use of the netherworld is rather unusual, as Star Wars has traditionally associated the term with the idea of an afterlife, a great beyond maintained by both the living and the cosmic aspects of the Force. As such, the Star Wars book raises the possibility that the world between worlds is a realm in which different planes of being can be accessed, including the afterlife itself. The world between worlds is essentially a microcosm of the interconnected living force which springs from and feeds into the cosmic force. It follows that the afterlife would be a part of it, just as it is a part of the Force itself. Now that paragraph is a shit ton to get into right here, so let's break it down kind of sentence for sentence here. The use of the word netherworld is rather unusual, as Star Wars has traditionally associated the term with the idea of an afterlife. So boom, there you go. The netherworld is kind of just after death. It's kind of like where the Force ghosts go, or where the Force ghosts are, let's say. A great beyond maintained by both the living and the cosmic aspects of the Force. So it's not just living beings like Ahsoka, but it's also the cosmic force. Like at this time, Obi-Wan is dead. Yoda is dead by the time of the Ahsoka show. I'm losing my voice. Okay. I'm out. I'm out. I gotta reload. Hang on. Alright, here we go. As such, the Star Wars book raises the possibility that the world between worlds is a realm in which different planes of beings can be accessed. So here's a big sentence right here. So this book is raising the possibility that the world between worlds can be accessed by not only the living, but the dead as well, including the afterlife itself. The world between worlds is essentially a microcosm of the interconnected living force which springs from and feeds into the cosmic force. So this really chimes back to the line that Palpatine says in the episode in Star Wars Rebels with the world between worlds. He says it is a conduit between the living and the dead, meaning the dead people, i.e. Yoda, Obi-Wan, but even Sith that are dead, that exist in the cosmic force, can interact with living force entities like Ezra Bridger, Ahsoka Tano, Palpatine. They can communicate with each other via the world between worlds. That's why when Ezra goes into the portal, he hears people that are before him, and he hears people that are after him. It's the cosmic force. It has no time. Are you with me so far? So, let's keep going. This retcon may explain Ahsoka's role in the Star Wars story. Now, politics, this actually has a lot to do with the video you created about Ahsoka possibly being the guardian of the world between worlds, and it kind of expands upon that idea a little bit here. So, this netherworld retcon may help explain Ahsoka's role in the Star Wars canon and her overall purpose in the Force. Now, this comes with the idea of the Force being this all-knowing thing, and everything is created for a reason. The same prophecy of like Anakin being the chosen one. He was born out of the Force for a reason. In Legends, it's Palpatine and Plagueis were messing with the dark side, trying to create this dark side being, and the Force rebelled by creating Anakin. And of course, Shmi and Anakin doesn't have a father. So the Force has a mind of its own, and there always has to be balance, but it also has its own purpose. So what is Ahsoka's purpose? This is what we hear. Going beyond her past as a former Jedi, having left that part of her life behind by the time she's helped that she's helped start the rebellion, as seen in Star Wars Rebels. The upcoming Ahsoka series will hopefully reveal the Force's will for the hero beyond her work to prevent Grand Admiral Thrawn's return and rise to power with the Imperial remnant during the New Republic era. So what they are implying here is that Ahsoka was saved by Ezra in the World Between Worlds for a reason, and that reason might be to stop Grand Admiral Thrawn from becoming the heir to the Empire, from becoming this big new bad in the galaxy, from stopping the next Empire. Now we know that the First Order just rises up eventually, but we know that Grand Admiral Thrawn doesn't. So what if this is Ahsoka's purpose? Let's read on. This is perhaps where the World Between Worlds will come in with its ability to access realms beyond the physical and living. If the World Between Worlds is indeed a way to enter the afterlife, it could hint that any future potential dealing Ahsoka has with the Virgins could make her its legitimate protector. There you go, politics. By extension, making her a direct guardian of both the living and the cosmic force. Now, what if Ahsoka was sent back to protect the World Between Worlds? We know that Palpatine was trying to delve into it, and they stopped that. But we also see, possibly, in the trailers, Baylan and Morgan Elsbeth trying to get into the World Between Worlds as well. Let's read on. This idea could also link Ahsoka to attempts made to draw Palpatine's spirit from the netherworld for the Force. So this is where Palpatine comes into the story. Palpatine died. He died in Return of the Jedi. Let's be honest, he died. Anybody who tells you he didn't die in Return of the Jedi at the end of Return of the Jedi, when Vader picks him up and throws him down the frickin' chamber, they're lying to you. He died there. He does. The Palpatine we see in the sequel trilogy, regardless of whether you think the sequel trilogy is canon or not, is the same Palpatine, of course, but is a different being. It's not just Palpatine's same body. But here's where things get interesting. Having survived after his demise in Return of the Jedi by somehow maintaining his spirit and placing it in a waiting clone body on the Sith world Exegol. As such, the World Between Worlds might have been how he did it, given its netherworld status. Meaning, and let's talk about this before we continue. Meaning, Palpatine was not saved by the Sith cultists. His body was not dragged off the bottom of that chamber he fell down in Return of the Jedi. That's not what happened. What happened was somebody somehow got into the World Between Worlds and saved Palpatine the same way that Ahsoka gets taken out of the battle between her and Vader on Malachor 5 by Ezra Bridger. And that's how Palpatine is in the sequel trilogy. And that, first of all, is crazy. Absolutely insane. But it makes sense. It explains Palpatine returning. This whole stupidity of somehow Palpatine returned, the sequels was never planned. Of course it was never planned. But Dave Filoni just found a way already to explain Palpatine returning that is far superior to any other explanation I've ever heard in the Star Wars fandom. So when people come to me and say the sequels should be retcon, the sequels aren't canon, blah, blah, blue, blah, blee, blue, blah, Disney's never going to do that. Disney is never going to do that. The sequels will always be canon. If they're not your headcanon, that's your own preference, whatever. They will always be canon Star Wars. So what Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are trying to do here is make the sequels better. And we've talked about this many, many times before. Making Luke Skywalker's character better is not that difficult. It's not rocket science. Can I get some rockets? Creating a character like Mara Jade to become a love interest for Luke, and then Mara Jade being killed, and Luke not wanting his midichlorians to be taken by the Empire to create more Force-sensitive clones, i.e. Grogu. His midichlorians, his blood, created Force-sensitive clones. So if Luke finds out that information, he might cut himself off from the Force and go live on Ahch-To. It makes way more sense already. And we haven't even started. Now somehow Palpatine returned. The stupidest line in all of cinema might now make more sense because of the World Between Worlds, because of Dave Filoni. Now, you might not like the explanation. I love the rockets. You might not like the explanation, but that is an explanation. And it makes sense. Now, whether or not we'll ever see the scene where whomever it is goes into the World Between Worlds and somehow gets Palpatine out, it happened. It's not just theory anymore. It's canon. It's in a canon novel. Now, it's not directly explained in that canon novel, but you can put 2 and 2 together. Again, it's not rocket science. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let me scroll back up because I missed a ton here. Honey Badger says, oh no, I see Exegol highlighted. We're going to talk about Exegol in a second here. It's the next part of the article. It gets interesting. It does get interesting. The guy says, take a shot of hot sauce every time this guy says force. Wow, imagine if you did that. How many times have I said force this stream? The guy, are you actually doing that? Are you taking a shot of hot sauce? Force. Anthony says, my guess is Dave's film might be called The Mandalorian Heir to the Empire. This way, it's distinguished from the Skywalker saga. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to integrate Dave Filoni's movie into the Skywalker saga, and I think he's actually going to get a full-on trilogy of Heir to the Empire movies, and with Thrawn, and that's going to be the new 7, 8, 9, and the sequel trilogy will just effectively become 10, 11, 12. I think that would be the smart way to go. But that's just my opinion, and we know here my opinion is fact. Honey Badger says that would be pretty damn cool, not gonna lie. Sounds pretty dope. Politics says, yeah, I'm not understanding how this is a retcon. Well, okay, so here's the retcon. The retcon is the World Between Worlds in this book is referred to as the Netherworld Between Worlds by the Empire. And why that's so important is the Netherworld inferring the afterlife of Palpatine. Palpatine dies in Return of the Jedi. He does. He absolutely does. However, the World Between Worlds is a way to bring him back to life. The only problem is, if this is the explanation for the World Between Worlds, if Ahsoka has to be brought back for a reason, if things are destined to happen, then why is Palpatine coming back destined to happen? Why is Palpatine coming back so important? Why is Palpatine coming back? I don't know. But it is most definitely a retcon for both Palpatine and Ahsoka's character. I hope they find Ezra. Well, I think they will find Ezra in the New Beyond in the Ahsoka show. I'm not sure when. Like, when do you guys think Ahsoka will show up in the Ahsoka show? Like, what episode? Do you think it'll be early on in the season or very, very late in the season? I could see them like waiting till the very last episode to give us Ezra Bridger. Star Wars Politics says, I'm a genius. You really are. I actually love the idea of Palpatine being resurrected through the World Between Worlds. I do too. I think it's a great explanation. And not only is it just like no longer stupid, somehow Palpatine returns and there's no explanation for it. It gives a good explanation for it, but it gives a fantastic explanation for it because of Ahsoka. Ahsoka's a fan favorite character. So is Palpatine, I guess. But Ahsoka is a fan favorite character, and this actually making sense for her will make more sense for Palpatine. Austin, you don't like it? He says that's bull. The guy says, it makes sense because the light and the dark balance each other out. Well, what if that's the case too? What if Ezra saves Ahsoka, but because he saved Ahsoka, a dark side user has to be saved as well, and that's why Palpatine gets saved? What if it's a balance? I know that they don't happen at the same time, but what if it's a balance? Could be. Could be. Honey Badger says, that makes sense because Palpatine was a clone in episode 9, like you said, but that does give us a clear way to bring Palpatine back better than what we have now. Exactly. And again, Dave Filoni doing his thing created the world between worlds in Star Wars Rebels in season 4 in 2018. Rise of Skywalker comes out in 2019. You can't tell me Dave Filoni, the apprentice of George Lucas, didn't know that Palpatine was already in the works to come back, and he put it upon himself to come up with the explanation as to how the fuck that happened. You cannot tell me that Dave Filoni was not like, wait, you guys are telling me that Palpatine's coming back? Oh, God, I gotta explain that? And then he did it. 5 years ago. The guy's a fucking genius. Whew. Calm down, Mike. Calm down. Calm down. Okay. The guy says, it makes me feel better about spending so much time watching the cartoons. Yeah, exactly. Nico, what's up, Nico? Says, now that's a storyline I can get behind. Palpatine is the GOAT. That's true. Palpatine was such an iconic character. So many Star Wars fans absolutely adored him and thought he was one of the coolest villains in history. Like, behind Darth Vader, he's one of the best villains in all of science fiction. Here's the thing. When they brought him back in the sequels, that severely diminished the importance of his character, made a lot of fans not like his character anymore, but this changes everything. Whew, okay. The guy says, my favorite film is Back to the Future. So I am all for this. I'm blown away. Anthony says, how twisted is it that 4 years after episode 9, the creators of Star Wars are still trying to explain/rationalize somehow Palpatine has returned? Yeah, that's the sad truth about it, though, is that's what's going on. Is Palpatine returned 4 years ago, and we're still trying to explain it. But if this is true, if this is what's going on here, if Palpatine was saved via the world between worlds, that means Dave Filoni explained Palpatine returning before Palpatine even returned. Because Palpatine returned in 2019, and Dave Filoni created the world between worlds in 2018. The guy's a fucking genius. Sorry. I know. I like to keep it clean. But Dave Filoni just gets me going, you know? Austin says, yes, because we've seen it in comics. What? You lost me there. Honey Badger says, but I like that they are trying to make the sequels make more sense. And the world between worlds being the connection for Palpatine making his return. But I want to know what makes Luke go into hiding. That's a big question, too. Like I said, you could explain that. Like I just told you this world between worlds thing, and you guys seem to be on the side of that makes a lot more sense, and I really like that. Let's pull it up, actually. Let's pull it up. How do I phrase this? Is Palpatine coming back via world between worlds better? Let's just phrase it like that. Yes or no? Is it better? Is this a better way of explaining Palpatine's return? Let's put it like that. Yes or no? You tell me. I just don't know. Are you guys on the yes train or the what the hell? Just retcon the sequels already. Whose side are you on anyway? Where was I? Where was I? The guy says, "The Nether?" Like the one with Ghast, Blaze, and zombie pigmen? Yeah, so I'm guessing you're probably going to get the Star Wars Minecraft crossover pretty soon. And I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait. Star Wars Politics says, I want his spirit revived, though. I don't want him to just be brought out. I don't know. That's interesting. That is a good point. When Ahsoka's brought back, she's brought back physically. What if that's not possible for Palpatine because he's destroyed? I don't know. That's interesting. That is interesting. Dude, what if we get a scene, maybe not in Ahsoka, maybe not even in Dave's movie, but somewhere down the line, what if we get a scene explaining Palpatine's return via the World Between Worlds, and we get to see, very similar to Ezra Bridger looking through the portal at the fight between Ahsoka and Darth Vader, we get to see the ending fight of Return of the Jedi in a different point of view, from a portal, from whomever pulls Palpatine out. We see that point of view of Return of the Jedi, the final fight, and we get to see them pull Palpatine out of that fight. Or maybe when he's falling down the thing, he gets pulled out. But we actually get to see a different point of view from that fight. How cool would that be? Literally 40 some odd years later, we get to see a different view of that. That would be insanely cool. Where was I? Anthony says, my explanation for Luke's exile, he sent a collection of Force users / Jedi to Tanalorr to fool Snoke / Palpatine into believing the Jedi are gone / defeated. The fact that you have to put all these slashes in there just means that it's very hard to explain. But it's his ace in the pocket. So let me reread that. He sent a collection of Force users / Jedi to Tanalorr to fool Snoke / Palpatine into believing that the Jedi are gone / defeated. I don't think that's the case. I just don't. I don't think that's what's going to happen at all. I don't think Luke ever did that. I think the more likely explanation is Grogu. Grogu's blood was taken and created Force-sensitive clones. Now, Mando did blow up those Force-sensitive clones before they could become what they were, but at some point, you have to realize that Grogu's blood created Force-sensitive clones, meaning Luke Skywalker's blood could probably make Force-sensitive clones. So he just goes into hiding and cuts himself off from the Force so nobody can find him. It's logical, makes sense, but it needs to be explained. It does. It does. I don't know. Do you guys like that explanation? Do you think that makes sense? Do you think that's a good explanation for why Luke went into hiding? Holy crap. I'm trying to catch up, guys. I promise. All right, let me go through them real quick. Austin says, but Darth Vader is the villain. That's true, but Anakin's not, and Anakin is Darth Vader. So Palpatine is kind of the villain through the whole Skywalker saga. Star Wars Politics says, I think access to the World Between Worlds will be a main plot driver. I think Thrawn wants to resurrect Palpatine. Ooh, interesting. What if Thrawn wants to get in a little bit of this World Between Worlds action? That would be fascinating. That would be cool. Yeah, maybe. And the Dark Jedi want to reverse Order 66. Ooh, that would be cool too. Balin, you mean? Yeah. And they are helping Thrawn because he promised that them this power. That would be cool. Oh, wait, that would make so much sense. In the trailer for Ahsoka, when Shin, the apprentice to Balin, says, like, what happens when we find Thrawn? And Balin's response is, power like you've never seen before. What if they're talking about the World Between Worlds and somehow, some way, Thrawn is the one who knows how to get into there? Remember, Thrawn is this intelligent mind. He doesn't have the Force, but he's like a Sherlock Holmes. He's like an Iron Man or a Batman. He just outthinks you. He's always 10 steps ahead. But what if he somehow knows how to get into the World Between Worlds? Holy crap, are we just unlocking the entire Star Wars galaxy in this one stream? Jeepers. Honey Badger says, I definitely want to see more of Tanalorr. That's very true. Me too. And see what comes of it. And hopefully we can see some Cal crossover in the future, and hopefully the next Jedi connect to the canon event of Star Wars in general. Yeah, the next Jedi game. I agree too. I think Cal Kestis should come into live action very, very soon, but I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. Austin Snow says, oh yeah, because we see him get trapped in the World Between Worlds. Do we? Who? What? No? I'm confused. Nico says, I'm a huge fan of Darth Sidious, so I'm going to say yes. On the yes train. Oh, looks good. You missed my good cups follow orders. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes. Good cups follow orders. Yes, exactly. Of course. Try my best to keep up with all your chats. Don't worry. None of you will be forgotten. Anthony says, I believe Ezra, Ahsoka, and Cal and other characters are hiding out on Tanalorr So when the time is right, they can return to the galaxy to protect/reconstruct the New Republic. I don't think they would just hide away from the First Order. Like, they would just hide away from Kylo. Like, he's just a whiny baby. Just kidding. But, yeah, no, I don't think they would do that. I think they're probably fighting somebody else, maybe in the New Beyond, maybe on Tanalorr, but I don't think they would be hiding. Honey Badger says, everyone has forgotten about Darth Plagueis the Wise. He knew how to escape death. What if the world between worlds is the way to do that? And that's what he told Palpatine all those years ago. That's a good point, too. What if Plagueis is somehow brought into all this because Plagueis is not really in canon yet? His existence is, he is Palpatine's master, but the Darth Plagueis novel is not Legends. Almost everything we know about Plagueis is not Legends, except for the fact that he knows how to conquer death, and he taught Palpatine the same lesson. Now, Badger brings up a great point here. What if that's the world between worlds? Let me just get a quick time check here. How far are we into this live stream? I don't want to go too far overboard here. 50 minutes. Holy crap. Jeez, we're going. There we go. we haven't even gotten through the first article. Okay, here we go. I think Plagueis, if done right with Dave Filoni, could be brought into canon. Well, he's already brought into canon, but like explored in canon a lot better. And of course, the world between worlds could be a big part of that. That's how he conquers death. That would be amazing. That would be awesome. Star Wars Politics says, doesn't it diminish Anakin's arc, though, if Palpatine is inconsistently revived? Instantaneously revived. Okay. The Chosen One was supposed to destroy the Sith. I suppose that the sequel trilogy already messed that up, though. Yeah, I feel like the sequel trilogy just throws that whole Chosen One thing out the window, but also the Chosen One thing is a Jedi thing. It's a Jedi prophecy. So not the Sith didn't have that, like other Force users didn't have that. That was the Jedi who said that the Chosen One was going to come and bring balance. So maybe it was just wrong. Maybe the Chosen One thing is kind of just the myth. But Anakin is the Chosen One, so I don't know. Star Wars Politics follows up and says, the only way to save Anakin's arc is to bring him back through the living force and finally rid the galaxy of Sith once and for all. And there's no way for them to come back. I don't see that happening. I don't see them ever just saying no more Sith. Because then you get rid of the Sith and you get rid of the ability to tell more stories. The Sith and the Jedi are a constant war. There's some times in the galaxy of peace. There's some times in the galaxy of the Sith controlling the whole galaxy. But there's always that consistency of at some point the Sith will rise. At some point the Jedi will rise. And that's what keeps Star Wars going. Nico says, I thought Palpatine had Luke's severed hand in one of those comics. So doesn't he already have that? Well, what if that's not enough blood? What if that's not enough midichlorian count? We do see in The Mandalorian Season 2, Dr. Pershing says he's run out and he needs more of Grogu's blood. So maybe that's the case. Honey Badger says, because he does not really politics, because Anakin does kill Palpatine. And he brought the end of the Jedi and Sith in general after that. As he fell, he destroyed the Jedi and then rose and destroyed the Sith. He brought balance in the end. He does bring balance to the galaxy at the time. He does bring a time of peace for about 30 years. And if that's enough for you guys to take in, then boom, perfect. If it's not, well, then you could say it's his family that he creates that makes him the Chosen One. His children, Luke and Leia. His grandchildren, Kylo Ren is one of a dyad in the Force, if you want to go that way. But it's the Skywalker bloodline. So you could go that way too, if you want to explain the Chosen One like that. Honey Badger follows up and says, but peace and balance don't last forever, and somehow Palpatine returned. Yeah, that's always what we come back to. Somehow Palpatine returned. Anthony says, Mike, I think we should use the World Between Worlds to send George Lucas back to 2012 so he can put some additional clauses in his contract with Disney, erasing the sequel trilogy. I think that's a great idea. I think let's do it. Let's call up George right now, somehow get him into the World Between Worlds, bring him back to 2012. It's a perfect idea. Perfect. Absolutely. Sulfur Squirrel says, thanks for reading all the chat comments. Of course. What do you mean? That's what I think differs this community from all other communities. There's a bunch of people who are massive channels that don't have time to read the chat or can't keep up with the chat, or there's just a bunch of losers in the chat that are just spamming stupid, nonsensical things. And that's a whole different issue. We don't have that issue here. So, of course, you guys come here to voice your opinion and want to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And that's why we're here. This is a community of fun Star Wars nerdy people. And you guys get to voice your own opinion. And I'm going to speak it into fruition. Of course. Austin Snow says, what if Plagueis was actually Anakin's father and wiped Shmi's mind? Well, there is always that theory. Palpatine somehow using the Force created Anakin. Maybe not in the way you're thinking, Austin, but yeah, that is always a possibility. But that would even mean that, like, Rey is, of course, a Palpatine, a clone of a clone of a clone. But that would mean that Rey is related to Anakin in some way, and that would mean that, again, two Skywalkers / Palpatines are kissing on screen, which is not the first time. Star Wars Politics says, glad to say I've been here from the beginning. Yeah, Politics has been here for a long, long time. Probably since I started doing live streams, honestly, which is not that long, but it's a long, long time. We're coming up on probably a year in like November-ish, I'd guess. Started doing live streams around the time of Andor, so probably October. Probably check that. All right, let's keep reading this article because we just got way off track, but not really because it was all on topic. But is Exegol another gateway to the World Between Worlds? So this is where things get even more interesting. How did Palpatine get saved? Retconning the World Between Worlds as the Netherworld may also explain Exegol's status in the Force. It's a hidden Sith world located in the unknown regions. So this, on its own, makes perfect sense. Exegol is a hidden planet. It's a Sith planet, but it's a hidden planet in the unknown regions. And it is so strong with the dark side of the Force, a lot like Dagobah is strong with the Force, and other certain planets are strong with the Force. Ilum. It is hidden. It's a hidden Sith planet in the unknown regions. Palpatine's Sith eternal cult resides on the sinister world while constructing Palpatine's fleet for his final order. Dumb, but okay. This was also where Palpatine had his cloning experiments and bodies ready to host his spirit after he died. As a result, Exegol's own status as a virgin may be connected to the World Between Worlds in the Star Wars canon. After all, the Secret of the Sith book features Palpatine's belief that the Nexus was a conduit between the living and the dead. That's actually what he says in Rebels, like the exact line, is a conduit between the living and the dead. Exegol was similarly established as a virgin in the Force, where the boundary between life and death is unusually thin. It's possible that this is because Exegol perhaps holds another gateway to the World Between Worlds, just like on Ezra Bridger's homeworld of Lothal. This also fits with the framework of the Star Wars book, which discusses that this in the section of the pathway to immortality that runs from Lothal straight to Exegol when discussing Palpatine and his plans for cloning and resurrection, as seen in the Star Wars trilogy. So this is where things get very, very, very complicated and interesting. Exegol, as it says here, the boundary between life and death is unusually thin. Now, Exegol is where Rey hears all of these different Jedi. Jedi, by the way, that don't have the ability to become Force ghosts. The only Jedi we know to be able to become Force ghosts are Qui-Gon, because we saw it in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin. That's it. Well, Luke now. Luke Skywalker now. And Leia, I guess. And Kyle? No. Okay. Yeah. Those 5 people. Because Qui-Gon was the first one to figure out Force Ghosts. So that's why you don't see all these Force Ghosts at the end of Rise of Skywalker, because they didn't know how to become a Force Ghost. However, they do communicate with Rey. Now, the reason or possible explanation for this is that like it says here, the boundary between life and death is unusually thin on Exegol. So maybe Rey could communicate with these people that are dead very easily, because Exegol is this very special place where the boundary between life and death is extremely thin. So not only can Palpatine be resurrected there via maybe the world between worlds, maybe there's an access portal, whatever you want to call it, on the world between worlds, on Exegol, to the world between worlds. Maybe that's on Exegol, or maybe it's some other type of access point between the living and the dead. Maybe it's an entrance to the world between worlds, maybe it's not, but there is an undoubtedly weird complex going on with Exegol, where all these different Jedi are able to communicate with Rey, and Palpatine is able to clone stuff, come back from the dead. Like, Exegol has a lot going on. It's a very, very cool planet. The Sith have been there for a long, long time. You even look at these statues here. Aren't some of these statues, and this is a very bad picture, but aren't some of these statues like really old Sith Lords, if I remember correctly? Like, Exegol has a bunch of different Sith Lords in the background that have been dead for thousands of years. Like, am I wrong, or is like Revan there or something like that? Like, I remember somebody pointing that out or something. But even if that's not the case, there is something weird going on with Exegol, and it makes sense that it could be a World Between Worlds entrance or something along those lines, because all those different Jedi who don't have the ability to become Force Ghosts, but communicate through the cosmic force to talk to Rey. Again, another explanation as to why these Jedi unable to become Force Ghosts are able to communicate with Rey via the World Between Worlds, or via the just communication to her at the end of Rise of Skywalker. Think about it. You hear Kanan, who we know doesn't know how to become a Force Ghost. You hear like Mace Windu, who we know doesn't know how to become a Force Ghost. Ahsoka, who we don't even know is dead or not yet. You hear all these different characters. And it just makes sense. It just makes sense. And that's the thing, again, is it's making more sense already. It's already making more sense, which is the biggest thing when it comes to the sequel trilogy, is making it make sense. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Honey Badger says, I feel like the prophecy is fulfilled. Qui-Gon foresaw that Darth Bane... Qui-Gon foresaw it. Darth Bane foresaw it. Anakin was born of the Force, brought balance, and fulfilled the prophecy. It never said that he'd bring galactic peace for eternity. That's true, I guess. Austin Snow says, I think it's because Palpatine made Rey communicate with the Jedi just to kill him. No, why would Palpatine do that? I know Palpatine was like, strike me down and blah, 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 but she did strike him down and she didn't become a Sith Lord, so at least yet. I really do hope they go the Sith Rey way, but they're not going to do that. They're not going the Sith Rey way, and it's a bummer. I would love the Sith Rey way, but it's not happening. Because let's be honest, a Charmin Obaid-Chinoy directed, Stephen Knight written, Kathleen Kennedy produced Rey movie is not going to have Rey turn to the dark side. I hate to break it to you, that's just not happening. Star Wars Politics says, why did Kylo even go there in the first place? I can't remember. Palpatine actually projects a message to the whole entire galaxy. And then Kylo goes and finds the Sith Wayfinder. I think the opening scroll is Star Wars Episode 9, the dead have spoken, or the dead have risen, or something like that. And then it says Palpatine has projected a whole message about his final order or something to the galaxy. Something along those lines. Nico says, because Palpatine had broadcasted a message, there you go, to the galaxy of his impending return. Yeah, exactly. No, because look at how Disney did with Star Wars. I'm confused. Nico says, they played Palpatine's message in Fortnite, did they? Of course they did. Of course they did. Of course they did. All right, we'll linger on this for a little bit, but we got to talk about Anakin in Ahsoka real quick because this is awesome. This is coming from Star Wars Newsnet. Actually, it's coming from not Star Wars Newsnet. It's coming from Amazon itself because Amazon has like leaked out these merchandise things for Ahsoka, and Anakin is involved. So let's talk about that real quick. Let's talk about that. Are we ready to move on? Are we ready to move on? Is that like my brain is still scrambling from all that World Between Worlds talk? It's very, very cool. It's very, very fun. It does explain Palpatine's return. It does give us a lot of questions about Ahsoka's place in all this. And it is very cool, but it does make your brain really rattle around for a little bit there. It is a cool concept, the World Between Worlds. It really is. But are we ready to move on? Anakin Skywalker. Do you want to see Anakin Skywalker in the Ahsoka show? I need some hype in the chat, please. As I take a nice long sip of water. Right now, the poll stands. Is Palpatine coming back via the World Between Worlds better? Right now, 91% of you say yes. That's pretty lopsided right there. That's pretty lopsided right there, which is good. That's what we want. That's what we want. That's what we want. All right, we got some hype. We got some hype. All right, let's read into this. Let's read into this. So this is coming from Amazon because they spoiled it. Oh, let me zoom in some more. Perfect. Okay. So, new Ahsoka merch description lists Anakin Skywalker among other series characters. A description attached to multiple products tied to Star Wars Ahsoka suggests that we will be seeing the return of the Jedi, Anakin Skywalker himself. This follows older reports indicating that Hayden Christensen would be appearing in the Disney Plus series in some capacity. The multitude of products tied to the forthcoming Ahsoka series are now available to pre-order on Amazon. Beneath all of the relevant products, you can find two examples here and here. Well, maybe we'll look at them in a second. Of the following copy list Anakin Skywalker alongside of other characters confirmed to appear in the series. So this is what the description says. Stop looking for fashion help in Alderaan places. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Add a little out of this world style to your wardrobe with some truly epic official licensed Star Wars graphic t-shirts, sweatshirts, and hoodies. Transport yourself to the galaxy far, far away with cool new apparel featuring Ahsoka Tano, Sabine Wren, Anakin Skywalker, Mon Mothma, and all your favorite Star Wars Ahsoka characters. Anakin Skywalker is right front and center with Ahsoka Tano, Sabine Wren, and Mon Mothma. Confirming. Let's take a peek at what this is actually. So this is Amazon. So this is pretty cool. This is all the Ahsoka merch, official like Ahsoka merch you can buy. That's already like you can pre-order it now. Some of these are pretty sick actually. Might have to get me some. But let's see where this description's at. Let's just click on the first one here. Different stances here. And boom, there's that description, copy and pasted from what we just saw right there. It's very small. You guys, yeah, I can't see that. Zoom in a little bit maybe. Boom, 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 boom. That's better. Yeah, same description we just read. So, boom, it's the truth. It don't lie. It don't lie. Anakin Skywalker is right there in the description, and it says, transport yourself to a galaxy far, far away with new, cool apparel featuring these characters and all your favorite Star Wars Ahsoka characters, confirming that Ahsoka, the show, will have Anakin Skywalker in it. Now, no surprises here. No surprises here. We assumed that Anakin was going to be in the show. We just don't really know, right off the bat, we don't really know in what capacity Anakin will be in the show. It's not confirmed, but we do have the theories about the World Between Worlds and Ahsoka fighting Anakin on Mustafar. That could mean we could get Anakin in live action, in the flesh, Hayden Christensen back during the time of Revenge of the Sith. But we could also get Force Ghost Anakin. Now, I know all of us here, let's go full screen for this conversation. I know all of us here have been theorizing and speculating about what this could possibly mean for the character of Force Ghost Anakin Skywalker. Because Force Ghost Anakin Skywalker has not been seen since Return of the Jedi. Since the end of the original trilogy, Force Ghost Anakin, the chosen one himself, we just went over about how important Anakin's character is, has not been seen since. Not been seen once. Now, Force Ghost Yoda has been seen in The Last Jedi. Force Ghost Luke has been seen multiple times in Rise of Skywalker. And even Obi-Wan is heard, at least, in The Force Awakens. Not seen, technically, but, whatever. Anakin, who has a direct connection to Kylo Ren, direct connection to Luke Skywalker, a direct connection to even, let's say, Rey, in theory, has not shown up as a Force Ghost throughout the entire sequel trilogy or even throughout the entire Mandoverse era so far. Now, the most likely two people he would show up to in this time period are Luke Skywalker, a younger version of him, and Ahsoka Tano, being that Ahsoka was his apprentice. Now, I'm going to open it up to the class. Do you guys think it's likely or will even happen that we will see Anakin as a Force Ghost? Or do you think it's just going to be Clone Wars flashbacks or Revenge of the Sith flashbacks? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's even possible that we could see Anakin Skywalker as a Force Ghost in the Ahsoka show? What do we think? Just because we haven't seen him yet. Haven't seen him at all. What do you think? Nico says, I think Mon Mothma is really ineffective leader. Is a really ineffective leader. You mean a bad leader? Well, let's be honest. If she is leading the New Republic, it goes poorly. Nico, so yeah. Sulfur Squirrel says, depends on the situation. Interesting. Honey Badger says, let's go, Anakin. Now, I hope they actually use him correctly, unlike in Kenobi. But in Dave, we trust. That's true. In Dave, we do trust. But I think actually Anakin was used pretty well in the Kenobi show. If any character was used correctly, I would say it was Vader and Anakin. But they did underutilize him. I'll give you that. Star Wars Politics says, Anakin has to give Ahsoka her white robes and staff. Oh, imagine how cool that would be. But that would change a lot because he's not a living being. We did see Luke interact with living things. He grabs the lightsaber in Rise of Skywalker. But that would be so cool, man. That would be so cool. Like, Anakin just pulls it like out of his pocket, just like this long ass staff, and hands it to Ahsoka and is like, here. That would be so cool. Nico says, I'm excited to see Anakin. Yeah, me too. Austin says, I hope Anakin will explain to Ahsoka how Luke allowed him to strike him down. That would be cool. Well, I do want to see Ahsoka meeting Luke for the first time, for sure, in the Ahsoka show. I hope that's a scene we get. I think Dave Filoni knows that fans really want to see that, so I do hope we get that scene. Sulfur Squirrel says, I think it's possible. I'm not going to rule it out, i.e. Force-sensitive, Force Ghost Anakin. I think it's possible too. I think it's probably like a 50-50 shot at this point in time. I think it's more likely we will get Anakin in flashbacks, but I don't want to rule it out. I don't want to rule it out at all. I don't. Sulfur Squirrel says, bye guys. Great stream, but I got to go. Don't worry about it, Sulfur Squirrel. Thanks for sticking around. It's been a blast. You can catch the rest on the replay if you want. Austin says, yes, I do want to see Anakin as Force Ghost. Yeah, me too. Star Wars Politics says, I'm certainly excited, but tampering my expectations. I'm not entirely sure Anakin's Force Ghost will make sense for this story, sadly. Well, wouldn't it make sense because it's his apprentice? And of course, Anakin hasn't shown up as a Force Ghost anywhere else. But if Ahsoka's in like a dark place or going into the world between worlds, even, don't you think some type of conversation would happen between him and her and Anakin? Think about it. When does Ezra have the conversation with Yoda in Rebels? Isn't that around the time of when he goes into the world between worlds? When does Ezra have the conversation with Yoda in Rebels? Nico says, why not both Anakin as Force Ghost and Flashback? Well, I think if you do get Force Ghost Anakin, you're also going to get Flashback Anakin. I think Flashback Anakin, or at least World Between Worlds Anakin, is the most likely thing you're going to get. But if you do get Force Ghost Anakin, you'll probably get both. Star Wars Politics says, but aren't we thinking that the main plot of the show is to find Ezra? Where did the Force Ghost fit into that? Well, if the World Between Worlds is involved again, I think Ezra definitely fits into that. But we also, what's interesting is, in the trailer, we hear that Ahsoka trained Sabine at some point in those 10 years. We see that a lot has happened in those 10 years. So maybe we'll get flashback scenes from those 10 years, or maybe we'll just get part of the season taking place in the time of the original trilogy. What Ahsoka's been up to during the time of the original trilogy, and maybe even shortly after the original trilogy. There's no doubt in my mind, because Ahsoka feels Anakin's presence a lot, like throughout Rebels, throughout the Clone Wars, even during like Order 66 and stuff like that. She has a very strong connection to her master because, again, it's her master. So I think when Anakin died, I'm sure she would feel that. I'm sure she would know that Anakin died. And maybe there's a conversation that happened there. Now, maybe we don't get that on screen, but maybe it's alluded to. I don't know. I feel like it's a missed opportunity, and I know Dave. Dave's a guy who loves to please the fans. He's going to give us that. I hope. Maybe he'll save it for the movie. But I think he will give us that. Austin Snow said, we need to know how Luke met Ahsoka. Yeah, I think that's a must. I think that's a very cool scene that we need to see. I think it'll be very, very cool. Yeah. All right, let's talk about this Mandalorian Season 4 turning into a movie. I know we're going over a lot of stuff today, and it's all over the place, but it is kind of all revolving around the Mandoverse time period, the Ahsoka show. It's all coming together, you know? But let's talk about the Mandalorian Season 4 turning into a movie. Now, this is very far from being confirmed. It's all just report and rumor right now. But it could happen, and it might be the right direction to go. Let's give it out to the class. What do you guys think? Do you think The Mandalorian Season 4 would be better as a movie or a Season 4 on Disney Plus? Keep in mind, this is not going to be a replacement for Dave Filoni's movie. This will be an additional movie. What do you think? Movie or show? Movie or show? Let's get into this article right here. Let's do it right now. Boom. Got it. This is coming from Bespin Bulletin. Again, it's just a rumor for now. But Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 4 could reportedly become a movie. As Hollywood grinds to a halt, the strikes push on. Disney and Lucasfilm are reportedly weighing up their options when it comes to making The Mandalorian's 4th season. So, of course, the strikes in Hollywood stopped everything. Writers and actors alike are both on strike, so nothing is getting done. The Mandalorian Season 4, however, was supposed to begin filming this fall, sometime in August or November. Now, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's just not. So, I think, here's the thing. I think that The Mandalorian will get postponed and possibly, like this is saying, become a movie. And I think it might be the right direction. So let's read on. Blah, blah, blah. Stupid freaking Bespin Bulletin. According to the new report from Making Star Wars, Disney and Lucasfilm are considering turning the 4th season of The Mandalorian, which was written ahead of the writers' strike, into a film. If production is set back a significant amount of time, The Mandalorian Season 4 was originally set to film late September and into the spring of 2024. But due to the writer's strike and actors' strike, production has been delayed into an unknown time. Turning The Mandalorian Season 4 into a film is just an option for Disney and Lucasfilm. They're reporting considering, and it is reportedly an option that Disney and Lucasfilm are fans of. So they are fans of this option right now. Despite executives supposedly liking this idea, there's no word on what the creative involvement the creatives involved think of such as the series creator Jon Favreau and executive producer Dave Filoni. So we don't know what they think about this because, of course, they're still on strike. But apparently the higher-ups at Disney and Lucasfilm like this idea. They do like the idea of The Mandalorian Season 4 being turned into a movie. The plan at the time is to still move ahead with The Mandalorian Season 4 as a series and turning Mando Season 4 into a movie is just an idea being considered. If production on the 4th season is delayed significantly, as Lucasfilm and Disney reportedly fear that if the aforementioned strikes go on long enough, Disney and Lucasfilm may not be able to produce and release the series for the highly anticipated Mandoverse crossover event. So that's the thing. They don't want to postpone the movie. Dave Filoni's movie is set to come out in 2026, the end of 2026. And that is kind of a set date. It's hard to move around movie releases, like studios, theaters. They all need to know when a movie's coming out years in advance, or not really technically, but they have time frames for when movies come out. In December of 2026 is when Dave Filoni's movie is going to come out. So if the production on Mando Season 4 is delayed a crazy amount, is it going to be the case that they might turn it into a movie and it might even take place after Dave Filoni's movie? Or would they push back Dave Filoni's movie and turn the Mandoverse movie into that 2026 slot? Dave Filoni's Mandoverse crossover event film was rumored to be aiming for the December 2026 release date, and a past report from THR, The Hollywood Reporter, indicates that the release was dependent on the 4th season of The Mandalorian, and possibly 2nd season of Ahsoka would enter production and release according to Making Star Wars. The significant delay for Mandalorian's production and release could impact the release date for Filoni's Mandoverse film, and could see the project getting delayed by up to 2 years, meaning we could not see Dave Filoni's movie until 2028. Okay, hopefully these strikes just get over with. Jeez, just Hollywood studios, just stop being stupid. Just give them more money. Like, you have billions of dollars. That's my take. Okay, the Mandoverse crossover event film would see characters from various series produced by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni featuring in a fight between the New Republic and their Imperial Remnant, likely being spearheaded by Grand Admiral Thrawn, though that's just speculation, as is what the Mandoverse characters would star. But many expect to see Din Djarin, Din Grogu, they have Din Grogu, that's funny, Din Grogu, Ahsoka Tano, Boba Fett, and more. The report claims that the Mandalorian movie would release in the December 2026 slot, which is expected to be held for the Mandoverse crossover, and that crossover flick could not release until 2028. Boo. I personally find it quite odd that the project that would likely shoot next year, whether as a series or movie, would be held for 2 years before releasing. So they're saying that it would still film next year, but it would be held for 2 years to allow the Mando show or movie to take place. The report claims that turning the Mandalorian Season 4 into a film is to essentially save time and get Filoni's Mandoverse flick. But in this scenario, the crossover event getting delayed by 2 years anyway, I'd always hear that the 4th season of The Mandalorian was likely to release in 2025, even when production was set to begin this fall, meaning it would go into production this fall, end in the spring of 2024, and then it wouldn't release until 2025, which is a long time. And my personal expectation is that if the Mandalorian Season 4 gets to film next year, it would still be aiming for that 2025 release. Yeah, that's true. I'm not criticizing the report for Making Star Wars. Blah 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 blah. And that just goes on to talk about the strikes and how when they might get over, which we really don't know. But what do we think about this? The Mandoverse movie, the Mando Season 4 movie or series? And do you want Dave Filoni's movie to get pushed back 2 years just to make room for The Mandalorian Season 4? Is The Mandalorian Season 4 that important? I feel as though it might be, because it needs to set up Din Djarin and Grogu and the Mandalorians to be in a spot to be scared of Thrawn and want to fight against Thrawn. But I don't know. I don't know if it's necessary, but maybe it is. And if it is, should it be a movie or a show? What do you think? Austin says a movie. Nico says if it's not a replacement for a movie that's already in the works, then I would prefer a show. However, a movie could prevent the painful, slow pace of that season 3 had. That's true. So you take out all the filler episodes that everybody hated so much, and you would turn it into a compact 2.5, 3-hour movie that would be all action, all great storytelling, all the time. However, this would kind of make Dave Filoni's movie less special, especially if they're doing an Heir to the Empire trilogy. It would make it less special because it would turn it into like a one-off film, and The Mandalorian season 4 just turns into a film. It wouldn't make sense. The Mandoverse should come into a giant culmination event in the Heir to the Empire. It shouldn't be Mando movie first and then Mandoverse movie. That would just kind of be dumb. Anthony says, Mike, imagine if season 4 of Mando becomes one part of a cinematic trilogy with Heir to the Empire being part 2. That would certainly be exciting. That would be very, very cool. I could get on board with that. If Mando season 4 becomes episode 1 of a 3-episode trilogy, then I'm on board. For sure. Absolutely. Honey Badger says, give me a show. I need Mando to have a 4th season where he's not a side character in his own show. Let him get one final season and then launch him into the movie and end his story there. You want him to die in the movie? You don't want your boy Din Djarin to survive the movie, Honey Badger? Austin says, cancel KK's contract and stop the writer's strike. Yeah, those would both be great ideas. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Honey Badger says, no, I think Mando needs his 4th season. The Mandalorian series can't end on the 3rd season with Mando being sidelined like that. He needs one great season like season 1 and then launch him into his film. I get that. He was definitely sidelined for the majority of season 3. But I don't know. I don't know. If it's the beginning of a new trilogy, I'm all for a Mandalorian season 4 movie. Stars Politics says, do you think they should have made these movies part of the episodes like 7, 8, 9 and the sequels turn into 10, 11, 12? Well, yeah, I said that earlier. I think that's the best possible outcome. Give Dave Filoni a trilogy and make that the new sequel trilogy. You can still have the sequel trilogy, the one that exists now, as 10, 11, 12, but make this 7, 8, 9. Make this the trilogy that people always wanted, the Thrawn Heir to the Empire trilogy. Just do it. And then fans who want to retcon or get rid of the sequel trilogy don't even have to see it as canon anymore because it doesn't affect them. Or you could even go one better. Make the sequel trilogy better in Dave Filoni's trilogy by making the First Order cooler, by making Snoke cooler, by making Kylo Ren's fall to the dark side cooler, by making Luke Skywalker's fall cooler, by doing all this stuff that will explain the sequel trilogy and make it better. And then you have now 2 trilogies of sequels that are great. One maybe not so much, but the other one being great and making the other one better. This is not Dave Filoni's first try at this. He created the Clone Wars with George Lucas. He made the prequel trilogy even better with the Clone Wars. He even arguably made the original trilogy better with Star Wars Rebels. The guy is not a novice when it comes to making trilogies better. So not that the original trilogy or even the prequel trilogy needed to be made better, but he did that by expanding on these characters like Darth Maul, like Ahsoka, like Anakin, Obi-Wan, all these main characters that are in the prequel trilogy. He expands on those characters so much more. Even Palpatine in the original trilogy is expanded upon in Rebels and even in the Clone Wars. So this would not be his first time doing this, making the sequel trilogy better by creating a different trilogy or even just the Mandoverse itself. That would make Dave Filoni pretty much the fix-it guy. He literally came in and fixed all the trilogies, even though some of them didn't need to be fixed. He would be the guy who fixed everything. Or not even fixed, but expanded upon everything to make everything make more sense. In a cool, fun way. The guy's the GOAT. Let's be honest, the guy's the fucking GOAT. Stars Politics says, Yes, you've come to the dark side, Badger. Mando season 3 was not good. Well, that's not the truth. Those are two very different things. He said Din was sidelined in season 3, which is true for the most part until the finale, but that doesn't mean it wasn't good. Not the truth. Anthony says, I'd call it the Mandalorian saga trilogy if it becomes a theatrical story. I'd just call it the sequel trilogy. I'd call it the sequel trilogy, and I wouldn't call the sequel trilogy now anything. I'd just leave it out for people to argue. Honey Badger says, no, trust me. I don't want him to die, Din Djarin he's talking about, at all. I just want him to get a great story and a great end to a great story. Yeah, for sure. But I think Din Djarin will die in the movie. And I think he should die in the movie to expand upon Grogu's character. Grogu needs loss, and Grogu needs, of course, his father figure to die. And maybe that could lead Grogu down a dark path, which would be insane. But maybe not. It would make him stronger for sure. For sure. All right. We got anything else going on? We talked about the Lando stuff on Saturday. That stuff is insane. I mean, I can't believe the guy learned that he got fired just from the frickin' whatever. Stupid. Anthony says, for me, Mando season 3 was mixed. Somewhat disjointed action and character-wise. I attribute that to KK's interference with the cancellation of Rangers of the New Republic, which forced Filoni and Favreau to alter course. Yeah, obviously, the firing of Gina Carano, the interference of Kathleen Kennedy, all that stuff was big when it comes to the story of Mando season 3. Rangers of the New Republic, you could see like a lot of that story was brought into The Mandalorian, was pushed into that season with like the Dr. Pershing episode, and it kind of just like took us out of Mando's story. Now, the Mando story in season 3 is spectacular. It's unbelievably good. It's a completion to an arc that's been going on since the Clone Wars. It's literally the redemption of the Mandalorian people, brought back together, taking their home world back from the Empire who took it from them and destroyed their entire planet. Like, it's a fantastic story. It is. Honey Badger says, all Mando seasons have been the best Star Wars we've gotten since the prequels. Mando season 3 was just not as good as season 1 and season 2. That I agree with. That I 100% agree with. The Mandalorian story arc through all 3 seasons is some of the highest quality story we've gotten from Star Wars in a long, long time. Honey Badger follows up and says, I'm hyped for the Lando show. I don't know. I'm not hyped about it yet. I think I will be the closer and closer it gets, if we even do get it. But Donald Glover's Lando, count me in. I'll definitely watch it for sure. I mean, I'm hyped, but I'm not that excited. Definitely not more excited than I am for Ahsoka, obviously, but even Skeleton Crew, even Mando season 4, even The Acolyte, because of the fucking possibility of Keanu Reeves as Darth Revan, which would be absolutely insane. But we talked about that a lot last week. Hour and a half, hour 30. I think we're going to get on out of here. I'm just losing my voice like crazy. Plus, we went over all the news I wanted to. Let's end this poll. 90% of you, or 91% of you, say that Palpatine coming back via the War Between Worlds is a lot better. Honey Badger says, I agree with that. That's basically the issue, and the Pedro issues, and scheduling conflicts, and Kathleen Kennedy, and Gina situation, all of that were a culmination of what was wrong with season 3. That's true. Austin says, I think the Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian season 3 were linked because they told different sidelines. Because they told different sidelines. Oh, you mean the main characters were sidelined? That's true. Yeah, Boba was definitely sidelined in his own show. For sure. All right, I am going to get on out of here, you guys. What an absolute great stream. You guys are the best. Just when I sat down and saw that 5 of you were waiting for the stream to start, I made my day, made my absolute week. So you guys are the absolute best. I mean, I say it constantly, but we do have the greatest community in the Star Wars fandom around this channel. Watch out for a video possibly tomorrow, if not then Friday, I guess, because we'll stream on Thursday. But about the Ahsoka leaks, those are kind of crazy. I mean, we talked about them a little bit on stream, but there is a lot to delve into with those leaks. So watch out for that video. I'm also working on a video about this Palpatine retcon thing, Palpatine retcon thing in the World Between Worlds, and a Mando Season 4 video. So we got a lot of videos in the works right now. So a lot of cool, fun Star Wars news. And yeah. Smash a like on this video if you liked it. Hit subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. And my pretty face will show up in the recommended feed of yours. And may the Force be with you. Always, 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 always. Guys, where's that button? There it is. Got it. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you for sticking around with me for this hour and a half-ish on your nice Tuesday evening. Yeah. Honey Badger says, thanks for the live stream today. Needed it. May the Force be with you. May the Force be with you all. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a great rest of your lives. And good night, everybody.